everyone, so today's video is going to be my manga wrap up for June. So because June was Pride Month, I pretty much spent my entire month reading LGBT manga. However, I did not read that many volumes this month, especially compared to previous ones, because I was very busy. Lots of stuff was going on, so I didn't get to read as many as I wanted to. But the vast majority of the books in this video will be LGBT manga. In fact, there's only one that I wouldn't count as that. So let's just get started. The first series I read this month was A Goodbye My Rose Garden. So I read volume 1, volume 2 with this very pretty cover, and volume 3. So this is the complete series. It's a 3-volume Yuri manga. So this is set in, like, I want to say the Victorian era, but I could be very wrong. But it's about this woman and this maid who wants to become a novelist. So she becomes a maid for this woman right here. So this series is interesting because it does have a very slow start, which I wasn't complaining about. It was just a pretty slow start, which is interesting because it's only a 3-volume series. So usually short series like that try to start very quickly, but this one did not do that. Also, this manga feels very well researched. The time period and the setting and the various social things that were happening during that time are all included in here. Some of the author's notes are very interesting in that respect. And this is probably one of the more like dramatic and angsty Yuri manga I've ever read, but I did really like this series. I like these two characters, I like the ending, I like the journey they go through in these 3 volumes. This is one of the better 3-volume Yuri manga I've read before. And the next thing I read this month was Boys Run the Riot Volume 1. So if you didn't know already, this follows this trans man right here and his journey to start a fashion brand with this guy over here. So yeah, that's pretty much all the story is. Well, obviously it's a lot more than that, but that's the base of the plot. I really liked this first volume. I like how it explores a pretty obvious theme between clothing and identity and how those two connect, and how you can use your clothing to express yourself to the world in different ways. I really enjoyed this first volume, but I'm not sure if I'm going to keep reading these as they come out or just wait until the final volume is out. I think it's only a 4-volume series. I might be wrong, but I think I might just wait until they're all out and then read the rest of the volumes then. But we'll see. I did really enjoy this first volume. The next thing I read in June was My Alcoholic Escape from Reality. So this is kind of the sequel slash continuation of Nagata Kabi's story, I guess, even though it's nonfiction. So the first book is My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness, and then My Solo Exchange Diary. And then this one is her most recent work. So this follows her in the hospital with some liver disease and pancreatitis, and just how she deals with that, and also like her home life and how those connect, and how her previous works have affected her home life, and also what she wants to do in the future. So this is definitely a very hard-hitting series, but I think this book is interesting because it's comedic. It definitely breaks up the tension with comedy, which I really appreciate. And also, like I said, the author talks a lot about the fiction work they've been working on, and I'd really like to read that. I don't know if we're ever going to get that. I don't know if she's actually published any of that, but I would love to read her fiction work and see what she does with that. But yeah, this is definitely another great continuation of this series, and I hope this author has a good life. So next, I did a reread, and I've talked about how I was going to reread the series for a while, but I reread volumes 1 through 8 of Blue Flag. So this is the complete series. As soon as I got a copy of this, I reread the whole thing, and I loved it just as much the second time as I did the first time. Also, the parallels between these two covers are really nice. I really like them. So one thing I really appreciated while rereading this was the humor that's involved. I kind of forgot how funny it was, but the faces are funny, the characters are funny, and even though this deals with some pretty serious topics and drama, there's definitely room for comedy, as I mentioned earlier. Comedy is very good at like breaking the tension and keeping things grounded, which I think the series does pretty well. Also, the art is beautiful, and I don't think that's very obvious at first glance, but the character designs and all the other art is really great in the series. And since I was rereading this, I knew what the ending was, and some of the quotes in here and the scenes that happen hit very differently after knowing the ending of the manga, which I really appreciated. I think this manga would definitely benefit from a reread if you haven't done that before. And I know not so much anymore, since the official volume since the 8th volume came out, but before, when people were reading the chapters on the Manga Plus app when it was still releasing, people were complaining about the ending being rushed and not fitting the rest of the story. I completely disagree with that. I didn't think the ending was rushed at all when I was rereading this, and also I think the actual ending fits the themes of the story pretty perfectly. You can't have a perfect ending to anything, but I think this ending is great, and it definitely fits the rest of the story for me personally. And I love all the characters, and I love the series. And this is definitely a series that I will reread more in the future because it's one of my favorites for sure. And next, in a pretty different theme, I read Blood on the Tracks Volume 6 in June. So this seriously took me like 10 to 15 minutes to read. They're very, very quick volumes to read because there's not a lot of dialogue, and there's lots of like big panels where you just look at it, you appreciate Shuzo Oshimi's fantastic art, and then you just move on, so they're pretty quick reads. This volume especially deals with a lot of emotional manipulation, which was difficult to read, but I really love this series and how Shuzo Oshimi deals with the emotions, especially the character faces. They really reflect the emotions that they're feeling, which should be obvious, but Shuzo Oshimi is really, really good at that. And another thing is that the actual like backgrounds, I've mentioned this before, but like the backgrounds and the way that he draws the characters also reflects the emotional state that they have. So not just their facial expressions, but also like the pen he uses or the art style he uses reflects the things that they are thinking and feeling. And I really, really appreciate about this. My only problem is that because they are so quick to read, I might forget a couple of the details in the previous volumes. So I'm not sure if I'm going to keep reading these as they come out, or if I'll just wait until they're all out or a bunch more out and then read them all in a row again, which is how I usually read manga, but for this one I was kind of making an exception. But I think I might just go back and read them when they're all out to really appreciate the story that Shuzo Oshimi is trying to tell here. And I don't know where this is going after this. There are some interesting developments in this volume that will definitely affect lots of things, so I'm interested to see where that goes. But yeah, this is a fantastic series. I really like it. So next, I tried to film a try-a-volume video with Yuri manga. So I read 5 Yuri manga. I didn't like the way that video turned out, so I'm probably not going to upload it. But I have the 5 volumes that I read in that video, and I'll talk about them right now. So the first one was A White Rose in Bloom. This is by the same author as Utsubora and Classmates, and it was interesting to read her take on a Yuri manga. So this takes place in a boarding school, which is a typical, it's like a all-girls boarding school, which is a typical setting for Yuri. And I liked that setting, but also I feel like the pacing of this was almost too fast. And I find that lots of Yuri manga are pretty fast-paced, but this one is pretty much too fast. But Asumiko Nakamura's art is gorgeous to look at. I really like the character designs. And so yeah, I'll keep reading this. I think the volumes for this come out pretty slowly, but that's okay with me. So I'll keep reading this one. So the next one I read was Donuts Under a Crescent Moon. So this is kind of like an office romance. It's about 2 older characters. I think she is 30 and she is 25. So this one has the theme of loneliness, which you'll see a lot in these volumes I'm going to show you. So loneliness and also like society expectations and how that might go against how you personally feel about yourself and how you want to present yourself to society, which seems pretty obvious, but this manga definitely explored that theme pretty heavily, especially with this character right here. And this series seems to have a pretty slow development of the relationship, which I am personally fine with. I don't really read Yuri manga for the evolution of the relationship, which seems counterintuitive, but I don't really. Yeah, so there's that. And then also there's a character in here who is the sister of this character right here, and she is fantastic. She's hilarious, and I love her. So yeah, this is another one I will keep reading. I think the second volume comes out pretty soon here, so I'll read that one as well. And the next volume I read was A Tropical Fish Yearns for Snow, Volume 1. This one was kind of interesting to read after Donuts Under a Crescent Moon because these 2 characters really remind me of those 2 characters, even though these ones are a lot younger. They're in high school, or middle school. I think it's high school. I could be wrong. And it also explores the theme of loneliness, which we will continue to explore as I go through these volumes that I read. And this also has another side character that I really like. This one isn't a sister character in this one, but it is one of the other girls in this manga. At this point, I've forgotten if she's also in the aquarium club or not, but her name is Kaede, I think. And I really like her. I'm not sure if she's going to be introduced as like a love triangle character to get in between the two main characters, but I don't care because I really like her. She's great. And then another thing that this manga does pretty well is it uses the animals, like the fish or other animals in the aquarium club, to reflect the emotional state or the thoughts of the characters themselves. And I really liked that. Also, the animals are just adorable, but I really liked that strategy of reflecting like inner thoughts of characters without just saying it out loud. So yeah. And we're almost done. The next one I read was Days of Love at Seagull Villa, Volume 1. So this one is a more serious story, but it also still has some of the same themes as the other manga I read. So it involves a character leaving their previous home and going out to the countryside, which also happens in Tropical Fish Yearns for Snow. So there's that, and also it explores loneliness again. And yeah, so I feel like all of these explored loneliness, which kind of makes sense, but also that doesn't have to be a theme in Yuri manga, but it was in these ones that I read. So I really like the characters in this so far. I feel like this volume, however, did introduce a lot of plot lines, and I'm not sure how they're all going to be resolved in the 3 volumes that the series is. It's only a 3-volume Yuri manga again. And yeah, I just feel like there's lots of plot lines that need to be explored. And I'm not sure how that's going to work, but I will keep reading this as well. I already have the 2nd volume. I need to read that. Yeah, also the characters are adorable, so yeah. And we're kind of ending this video on a little bit of a sour note, but the next volume I read was The Conditions of Paradise, Volume 1. This, I know, is the 3rd volume, but the first 2, I don't feel comfortable showing them on YouTube. This one is fine, but the other 2, not so much. So yeah, here's the 3rd volume, but I read the 1st volume this month. So this seems to be a collection of short stories. A lot of the short stories focus on different relationships, different characters, and I just didn't like it. I feel like I have that problem with a lot of Yuri like short story collections where they focus on a bunch of different couples. I don't ever like them really, and I didn't know that's what this was about because just by the front covers I assumed it was just a regular Yuri manga focusing on one couple, but this one, no, it's different characters, and I don't really care for that. I liked what I am assuming is the main couple, but the rest of them I didn't really care for, and I'm not sure how the rest of the series is going to continue, if it's going to continue to be like short stories about different characters. I wish I had read the 1st volume before I bought the next 2, but as you can see I have up to volume 3. I think that's all that's out right now, so I should read them even though I don't really like it. I will read it because I have the next 2. But this one was not for me, and I think I will try to stay away from like short story collections when it comes to Yuri in the future, just because I don't tend to like them very much. So yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you've read any of the manga I read this month, let me know your thoughts about those in the comments below. Otherwise, let me know what you read in June. I'd really like to see those. As you can see, I didn't read too much this month, but next month I'm planning on reading a lot more. I already have like a list of things I want to read, and yeah, so I think I'll read more next month. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!